Credit reports. There are 3 in the UK, and this is everything you need to know about them. Commonly referred to as credit scores, there are 3 credit referencing agencies in the UK that lenders report to. They are Experian, Equifax and TransUnion. Now, these credit referencing agencies do make your files available online. However, all of them require you to sign up at quite hefty monthly prices. But what's less commonly known is that you can actually access all 3 of your UK credit reports completely for free for life. Okay, so there are 3 websites that you're going to need to head to. The first is the Money Saving Expert Credit Club, and this is going to give you a snapshot of your Experian credit score completely for free for life. The second is a website called ClearScore, and this provides all of your Equifax data. Again, it's all for free and it's for life. Finally, Credit Karma gives you an insight into your TransUnion credit report. The sign-up process is really simple for all 3 of these websites. You just need to enter a few of your personal details and it will gather all of your transactional history from your lenders. The websites work by taking a snapshot of your credit report with each of the respective credit referencing agencies. They do this on the date that you first open your account with the website, and they do the same again monthly thereafter, usually on the date that you initially opened your account. Because they provide a snapshot rather than a live insight into your credit reports with each of the referencing agencies, you should be aware that it can take a while to update. You might see accounts on there that you've previously closed that are still open for a month or 2 after. You may also see that the balances aren't quite up to date, and that's because they're only snapshots. They do take time to feed through, but ultimately they give you a really good insight into what your report shows about you and anything that you need to do to fix it. The most important thing you need to remember when you're signing up for all of these websites is to use consistent information. That means if you've got different names that you use, middle names, various addresses that you live or have lived at previously, different accounts with different providers, all registered to different personal details, you need to be consistent with the information you're putting in. This comes down to your employment as well. For example, whether you're full-time or part-time employed, self-employed, your job title, the exact figure of your salary. If there's too much variation between all of these details, then it may be flagged as fraud checks, or it might simply make it impossible for the credit referencing files to be picked up. Once you've opened your accounts with all 3 of these websites, you should take some time to look through all of the details that they hold for you. Check both open and closed accounts that are showing on these sites. Check that all of your addresses are consistent. And by the way, you should definitely sign up to be on the electoral roll if you haven't already. For the electoral roll, you should use a primary address that you currently live at, and then you should make sure that all of your accounts are associated with the address that you are registered to the electoral roll at. For instance, if you've got phone bills that you opened several years ago, a current account that you've not updated, credit cards that you've forgotten about, contact all of these providers and update your details with them so that they've got the most up-to-date address as per the electoral roll. If you see any information that doesn't look quite right, for example, an account that you don't recognise or that you think is closed but is showing as open, you can raise disputes directly with each of the 3 credit referencing agencies, and you can do this really easily through all 3 of the free websites. People often talk about their credit scores, and actually these show quite prominently on all 3 of the websites. However, they aren't the be-all and end-all of your credit reports. Let me explain why. Your score is based on a series of factors, and each element in your credit report will have a variable impact in terms of weighting on your overall credit report and score. For example, if you've previously made a lot of hard search credit applications that are showing on your credit reports, these will have quite a high impact on your credit score. The odd 1 or 2 missed payments will tend to only have a medium impact on your credit report. However, if you end up with defaults or repossessions, these have a more seriously high impact on your credit reports. All 3 of the websites that I've recommended give you really handy insights into your credit reports as they stand, and they give you helpful tips and tricks to improving your score. But you shouldn't worry too much about slight variations in your score from month to month. For example, if they drop 2 or 3 points, it really isn't the end of the world. You should also consider when applying for new credit that different lenders will take into account different aspects of your credit reports. For example, some lenders specialise in users with a limited credit history. One other thing is that not all scores are created equally. For example, on ClearScore, you're scored out of 700 points. For Credit Karma, it's 710. And the Money Saving Expert Credit Club shows your score out of 999 points. So if you're looking to improve your credit scores, there are a few things you can do. First, use these websites to make sure all of the information they hold for you is correct. Raise any disputes if you think something is seriously out of line. Second, you should aim to have a couple of accounts open for a long time. Most people in the UK tend to stay with their current account provider for a while, for instance. Some might stay with their mobile network for their whole lives. These all help your credit report stability. You shouldn't make too many hard credit applications at once because it can make you look desperate for the credit. A large number of lenders on the UK market now offer eligibility checkers. These are what are known as soft searches, and they do show up for you when you look at these accounts online. However, they're not on your public credit report, and so when you're making future applications, they won't be seen and they won't have an impact on your overall score and lendability. Clearly, you should avoid missing any payments and at least making the minimum repayments on all of your accounts every single month prior to the due date. If you can, the best practice is to make full balance repayments every single month. Not only will this mean you don't pay any interest, but it also has a fantastic impact on your credit reports. Finally, something called your credit utilization rate. This is essentially the proportion of credit that you're using versus your overall credit limits across your accounts. The best practice for your credit reports is to never exceed 50% credit utilization. Now that means on every single individual account, you shouldn't go above 50% of the credit limit, and across all of your accounts, you shouldn't exceed 50% of your overall limit. Lenders usually provide the information to credit referencing agencies around the date of your statement each month, which means if you've got a credit card with a £2,000 credit limit on it, you shouldn't let your statement balance go over £1,000. Ideally, you should keep to within 25% of your overall credit limit across most of your accounts. This is why if you can spend, borrow and repay responsibly, it's a good idea to increase your credit limits across your accounts. You can see what your current credit limits are for each of your accounts by going into one of the three websites. Many lenders on the UK market will now allow you to make adjustments to your credit limit online or in their apps. For example, with American Express, you can go on your online account and you can apply for a credit limit increase whenever you like. Simply input the amount that you'd like your credit to be increased to, as well as your annual income. Click submit and they'll do a quick soft search to check whether you're eligible. One theory with American Express is that you should apply for 3 times your current credit limit every few months. First, around 2 months after you initially take out your credit card with American Express, you should apply for 3 times the limit. For example, if American Express gave you a £1,500 limit initially, then 2 months after you start using the card, you should apply for a £4,500 credit limit. You'll be asked to reconfirm your current annual income, and you should keep this fairly consistent whenever you're making applications, otherwise it may flag up as a fraud check. Amex will often make a counter offer of a credit limit increase if they're not able to provide the full amount that you've asked for. You can go ahead and accept this and then try again in a few months' time. Every 6 months, you should certainly be reviewing this with all of your accounts. For instance, you get an American Express card, 2 months later, you triple your credit limit. 6 months after that, ask for triple that credit limit. So you've gone up to £4,500, you'd then be asking for £13,500. The reason for this is primarily credit utilization. For instance, if you have a card with a £2,000 limit and you spend £1,000 by your statement date, you've used 50% of your available credit. However, if that card has a £10,000 limit, then you've only used 10% of your credit limit, which looks much better for your credit reports. There are literally hundreds of instances throughout your everyday life that your credit report will be checked. For instance, if you're renting a property in the UK, they will likely reference you, and this includes a credit check with at least one of the credit referencing agencies. When you're applying for a mortgage, you'll get the best rates, and you may be able to use a lower deposit if you'd like to by having a better credit report. Even taking out new mobile phone contracts and utilities will require credit checks. Finally, if you want to get approved for some of the best credit cards on the UK market and literally get paid in rewards for just doing your everyday spending, then you'll need very good credit reports. If you have any specific questions regarding credit reports, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.